Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle M. Orsino, author of the Birth of the Fae series, published by Four Horsemen Publications. And today I will be reading from my latest book, From the Ashes, which is book 3 from the series. And this chapter is To Each His or Her Own. I'm going to be reading a little excerpt from it. So here we go. Desdemona's footsteps echoed as she ran down the crystalline hallway toward the Great Hall. Shaking her cape out, she complained, "Damn dragons, this dust is never coming out without a good cleaning. I hope Zion and Asa are almost ready. If they aren't by the side door in 2 minutes, I swear I'm not getting into any more trouble for those Fae tonight." As she rounded the corner, she skidded to a stop. Zion and Asa were not at the side door. A different Fae was. A little one, of 6 years old, stood with the side door cracked open and giggling. Her blonde curls hung to her back against her velvet blue coat as they looked like spun gold. Desdemona knew exactly who this was. Indigo Ward. "What are you doing?" The face stiffened at the sound of the captain of the Illuminaska's smoky voice. However, any fear melted the minute she turned around and faced the warrior Fae. Her chest puffed out. She placed her fists on her hips, feet apart, mimicking the much-revered Fae. "Well, Desdemona," Indigo put some sass on the A, "I'm waiting to see the big bad leader of the draconian faction that all the Fae are talking about." Desdemona's head jerked back. Whether it was Indigo's attitude or those striking indigo eyes, they were oversized in the clearest blue-green of any Fae. It was where she got her name. "You're supposed to be in your uncle's suite. They'll have trolls if he finds out you're here." Indigo took a step forward and shrugged one shoulder up. "So? He's busy playing the good old bishop. He won't know I'm here. After I see the dragon, I'll go to his suite." Desdemona looked around. "Where's your sidekick?" "Where there's one troublemaker, there's usually another." Indigo stomped her foot and a breeze swept through her hair. "His name is E. He isn't a sidekick. E's my best friend. My uncle said E wasn't allowed to come tonight." Indigo's voice mocked the Bishop Ward's haughty little tone. "Tonight is far too important for your nonsense, you little trolls, Ward." Indigo grimaced. Desdemona then grimaced. She knew about Ward's harsh words. His feelings about his niece were palace gossip. Everyone knew he was less than thrilled about being her guardian since his sister was killed by a human cult when Indigo was just 6 months old. Ward used the little one as a trophy to parade around for sympathy, and that was pretty much it. Indigo was raised by Angara. Desdemona knelt down. The two were now eye level. "Okay, look. Go to the 3rd level balcony. The will-o-wisps will be there releasing the lanterns to honor the Dark Fae. I'm sure they'll need a little help keeping them up." Desdemona took out a small piece of parchment paper and a berry twig, jotting a quick note. She handed it to Indigo. "Take this and give it to Jasmine. Tell her I said you can help with the lanterns. You have nice control of your wind. If the lanterns fall, you can assist them. That way, you can then see Dragor. Once it's all over, head right back to your uncle's suite. I mean it, Indigo. No dawdling. Get right back up there before Angara sends up your dinner." Indigo scrunched up her face and stared at the paper. "You won't tell my goblin's ass of an uncle, right?" Desdemona bit her lip to keep from laughing at the little one's description of her uncle. "It'll be our little secret, as long as you get back to the suite as soon as you see Dragor. Deal?" "Deal." Indigo smiled. "One last thing." "What?" Desdemona asked wearily, cocking her head to the side as she eyed the little Fae. Indigo's name around the palace was Little Big Mouth, and she had earned it. "Has Lady Danius come in?" Indigo peered through the door again. Again, Desdemona's head jerked back. Indigo was just full of surprises. She was expecting another acidic response. but not an inquiry about the butterfly warden. I'm not sure why. Indigo looked over her shoulder at Desdemona. He told me Lady Danius always had her butterflies with her, and she heard she has a big, gigantic butterfly, like the size of a dragon. Desdemona put her hands on Indigo's shoulders and pointed her in the opposite direction. Yes, Lady Danius has her butterflies with her at all times. I've never heard of Danius having a gigantic butterfly the size of a dragon. Don't believe everything you hear, Indigo. Now, go. Indigo floated up about 6 inches off the floor and blew Desdemona a kiss as she disappeared down the hallway. Desdemona watched her, and a soft smile grew and fell. She had heard rumors of Bishop Ward abusing the little one, but had never seen any evidence of Winburn. Maybe she should take her own advice and not believe everything she hears. A minute later, and the murmurs of Zion and Asa could finally be heard. Finally, Desdemona said. The side of the great door creaked open. Desdemona, Asa, and Zion snuck inside. Desdemona took her place on the platform, standing off to just the left and out of sight. But the bishops noticed her and exchanged a few more displeasing looks. She ignored them and scanned the rafters. Hidden in the shadows were members of her ever-vigilant Illuminasca, exactly where she told them to be, concealed all the way up inside the lotus design of the crystal ceilings. Desdemona's protege, Nightshade, observed the entire banquet. Desdemona was impressed. It was one of the places she had not thought to hide. Nightshade was turning into a very capable Illuminasca. Desdemona focused her attention back to the crowd and skimmed the room, taking in the Fae before her. As usual, the bishops looked unhappy, bored, and generally disgruntled. Bishop Geddes appeared more sour than normal, the vein over his right eye pulsating with each beat of his heart. She felt the shift of energy in the room, and something was about to change tonight. She didn't know exactly what, but she knew the bishops felt it too. Zion and Asa crossed the back of the platform as Desdemona had directed them. They ascended the stairs. 2 royal guards flanked the entry point at the top of the platform. As the Dark Fae attempted to advance, the guards crossed their crystal and iron-dipped spears, smirking. The Dark Fae paused, staring down the royal guards. They were trying not to draw undue attention to themselves on the very high platform. A reflection of light crossed the guards' faces. They looked across the platform to see Desdemona pull out one of her Harbinger blades and shake her head. One of the guards swallowed, swatting at the other to let the Dark Fae pass. Zion and Asa took their respective places next to Eugora and Priya. Well, well, look what the dragons dragged in, Priya drawled. Nice of you to grace us with your presence. We've been waiting for you for over an hour, Eugora hissed. Zion rolled his eyes. I'm sorry you're so lonely. You had to wait a whole hour without my attention today. However, I promise I'll make it up to you, Zion purred. Priya snorted. Why does King Jarvok trust you so much, Zion? She didn't hide her disapproval. Zion winked as he walked past her. Oh, did I stir up some jealousy issues, Priya? Her deep, golden-colored skin went from a pearlescent sheen to a glowing red blush. Your spoon isn't big enough to stir anything of mine, Zion. Priya laughed, and Asa shot her a look. Zion stepped in. That's not what you used to say. His voice replied in a smooth coat of honey. This time Eugora's cheeks turned red from rage, and Asa took notice. Priya batted the long, aqua lashes that matched her long, wavy hair. She walked her index and middle finger up his kyanite armor to his chin and grabbed it as she spoke. But I didn't come back for seconds. Did you ever wonder why? Zion clicked his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Asa spoke, her voice just above a whisper, not to embarrass themselves. This is no way to speak to your lieutenant at a diplomatic function. All of you fall in line. Priya and Eugora stared blankly at her. Eugora faked a yawn and patted her hand to her mouth. Your little Los is chortling again, Lieutenant Zion. You should really put a leash on her. Priya's voice had a lilt to it, the skin around her eyes crinkling with mirth. Ace's blue eye flared. Zion tried to grasp her arm, but the derogatory comment about Los was Ace's trigger, and Zion knew it. She shook his arm off, stepping into Priya's face. Priya's amber and aqua eyes stared back, but Ace's ice blue eye and white eye bore into Priya. Asa waited. She knew Priya would be the one to flinch first. Asa was not a conventional beauty, not like Priya Eugora. However, she had learned to use it to her advantage. Priya's eye twitched, and she looked away, unable to maintain eye contact with the milky-eyed Fae. Asa spoke calmly, but her left eye ticked. Priya, I am King Jarbok's lieutenant, third in command to the Court of Dark. Let us review how we got here, shall we? Zion went into the crater to fetch King Jarbok. Not you, not Yagora, not Yazika, Ezekiel, or Azrael. All of you were too scared. Therefore, Zion is his next in line. When Zion called for help, none of you ventured into the crater. I did. I helped pull him out. I have proven myself every day and earned my spot next to Zion and King Jarbok. As for Los, how dare you? That little dragon has more heart and loyalty than any Fae or Power Angel I've ever met. So to call me a little Los is a compliment. Because if I can be half as loyal and fearless as him, I would be proud. Now shut up. Act appropriately and show your king, Zion, and yourself some respect. Asa held her gaze on the dark Fae pair for a moment longer, as if daring them to say something. Priya lowered her eyes. Yagora did the same. Finally, the two mumbled, "Yes, Lieutenant Asa." Asa stared at them for a moment. When she was satisfied that they had both learned their lesson, she moved to Zion's side. Zion couldn't keep the grin off his face. He leaned over and whispered, "You know that you have my love and light, right? Especially when you go like all warrior Fae. How come we haven't, you know?" He looked at her and wiggled his eyebrows. Asa smiled and shook her head. "Because I know all of your emotional baggage. You think of me as a sister. And frankly, you couldn't handle me." Zion scratched the back of his head. "Well, the sister comment just confused the hell out of me." She elbowed him, drawing his attention to the opening ornate doors. Their king stood with the queen of the Court of Light. Who could have imagined this? And if you want to know what happens next, you're going to have to read From the Ashes and find out.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. I am excited you guys are joining us today, and I have the fabulous Miss Danielle with us. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. I am thrilled you're joining us again at Inside the Minds of Authors, and we're going to jump right in because I'm always so fascinated with your books. All high magic, all sorts of exciting trauma and intrigue going on. Book 3. I want to know, where are you taking us on this journey? So for our listeners who are new and haven't been able to caught up, you guys can catch up the first one that she was joining us last year. But let's start with, what is the series about before we jump into the book? And then we'll jump into the book. Tell us a little bit about the series.
Birth of the Fae is a retelling of the Fae origins. I've taken it out of what we normally know about the Fae, kind of the Celtic background. And they are angels who, for whatever reason, big mystery, were locked out of heaven. And they've decided to make Earth their home. There's two factions, a bunch of warrior Fae who've become the Dark Fae, and a bunch of virtue angels who were sent here to nurture nature and get the planet ready, who have become the Light Fae. And they have both figured out that human worship equals power. So they become our pagan gods and goddesses. And what we know throughout history is your Roman gods and goddesses, Greek, Egyptian, all different factions of gods and goddesses that the humans know. But behind the scenes, they are the Fae, which actually stands for the Fellowship Aegis of Earth. And they have their own political things going on in the background. And they were at war for a very long time, but they have come to an understanding to exist. And now they're trying to make it work, so to speak. They're pulling a Tim Gunn. They're making it work.
I love the fact that they're going to make it work. Might be a little messy, but they're going to try.
They're trying. They're trying.
Book 3. Where are we picking up in the series? What is this book about? Bring us into this part of the journey.
Book 3, we are after the war. We have signed a treaty. And King Jarbok of the Dark Fae and Queen Aurora of the Light Fae have said, okay, we are going to try to live in peace and harmony. We've had some hiccups along the way. In Book 2, Thine Eyes of Mercy, we signed the treaty. And then we had a little hiccup when Queen Mary decided to renege on a treaty between the Light Fae. And then we almost came to blows. And then we decided, nope, in Book 3, we are really going to make it work, because the two sides figured out that they'd been helping each other kind of unknowingly. So they felt like, well, if we've been doing this and not knowing, what happens if we actually do try to work together? So then they figure out, yeah, let's try to get along. And the king and queen had a knockdown, drag out fight, which they kind of needed to, because they had never met on the battlefield. That's what happens when you're a king and a queen. You always have people to fight for you. But what happens when the two of you have to fight? So they had a barroom brawl, so to speak. And now they're here going, okay, let's see if we can make this work. What if we combine our strengths, so to speak? So they are trying to see if they can go 5 minutes without trying to kill and maim each other. They're trying.
For enemies who've been at each other's throat for so long, that is a huge deal. Let's be honest. 5 minutes without
Yes.
you trying to kill your nemesis, this is a challenge.
Yeah.
The scene you just read to us. What is going on? Because now you have drama within the drama. You have drama within all the people that are supposed to be allies. What is this scene about? What are we looking at here?
Right now, what we're looking at is the scene I've just read is the banquet. So they've all decided we're going to break bread together. We're going to see how this goes. Like, let's all just sit down and have a meal and see how we do here. Desdemona's answer is, let's go fight first. So she takes Zion and Asa and the dragons and says, I'm going to show you how we train. And they have a knockdown, drag out training exercise because, she's like, well, we all used to fight because Desdemona was the only Power Angel to ever exalt to virtue status. So she's actually served with Asa and Zion before. So she knows them from way back. So she's like, let's go fight. Let's play fight. Let's spar. So they've just done all that. And now they're late for the banquet. So they're hurrying up. And then she bumps into Indiga. And Indiga is going to play a huge part later on in the series. Indiga was probably one of my favorite characters to write because I never thought I would write from a child's perspective. And she kind of popped into my head one night playing Cherry Bomb. And I was like, okay, you're going to be a big deal. So she's kind of the Eloise of the Plaza character in the palace. She will be, from this point on, a major player moving forward in the series. And we meet Indiga for the first time, and right off the bat, we learn her nickname is Little Big Mouth throughout the palace. And she's just somebody who doesn't take kindly to hearing orders, taking orders, or authority in general. But she's got her reasons for it, and I kind of appreciate that. I enjoyed that, but we're about to see the big banquet scene where King Jarbok and Queen Aurora will be presented as allies for the first time. And that's a huge deal. And then we see that Priya and Yugora, as usual, are causing problems within the Dark Fed. They're kind of my mean girls, which we've all experienced, mean girls. Let's face it. I can't say that I didn't pull from real life. I may have experienced this in high school. So I was just like, let's pull from that experience right there. I can definitely grab that. It goes to show that while there's a lot of intrigue in the Court of Light, the same stuff is happening in the Court of Dark, just a little differently.
So I love your play. I love the sexual tension that you bring into it. While it's not right out there, it's still those things that make the genders very interesting. You have lots and lots of characters going. How do you keep them all straight?
I actually have what I call the author index, and I always update it, but it's a file that has every single character, who they're related to, their physical descriptions, and their relationships. So I keep that together and I'm always updating it, but I have to have it or else, to be honest, I'll forget. If I plan on killing a character, even if it's 10 books down the line, I will know, okay, remember what you're going to do with that character. Just so I keep it straight, but it has their faction, their house, who they're related to, physical descriptions, alliances, romantic history. Everything is written in there, down to their faction symbol, their sigils in there, everything. Because I have to keep it straight for me or else I can't. Right now, I think I have over 100 factions written in there.
It's such an in-depth universe. You're looking high fantasy in so many different levels. So that's always very interesting how each author creates this universe. So I love the fact that you have an index for everything. We're talking about book 3. How many books are you looking to have in this series?
So far, I have 9 written. I'm about 20 chapters into 10. I just finished a dragon novella, which comes out in July. I'm halfway through another novella. I'd like to say I'm going to do maybe 15, 16 is in my head, but I don't want to limit myself and say, oh, I'm hard stop at 16 or hard stop at 20. I don't know. The fans have a lot to say on it. However long they want me to keep going, hey, I'm willing to go. But it's also why I time jump. Some people are like, oh, why did she time jump between 1 and 2? Or why'd she time? And I'm like, I did it because it allows me then to go back and write a novella here or do something there and give you a little more on this faction or this time. The novella I'm currently working on is actually in between books 1 and 2. I did it for a reason, or there are areas where I'm specifically ambiguous on because I know there's another story to tell. But if I got into it where people are like, why are you jumping here? It's like, that would be a whole other book that would take me away from what I'm currently writing. So it's like I'm doing some of these things on purpose to give you another novella or to give you a story about somebody else. I can't say, oh, I'm definitely doing 20 books. Now, there might be 5 novellas. When I released the picture of Lady Danius on Instagram, probably about a year ago, maybe it was a little, yeah, it was about a year ago. I did not expect the reaction I got. And people were like, who is this character? Give me more on her. And I'm like, Really? You want to know? She's the butterfly ward." People were like, no, no, no. I'm like, okay, she's showing up in like book 5. And people were like, no, I want. So now she's getting her own novella because people were very curious about her love story. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to write the love letters between General Jaden and Lady Danius. And now that's what the fans are getting. They're going to get this novella about these 2 characters and their love story.
I truly love the fact that you appreciate and listen to your readers and you truly want to give them everything about this world. You create this universe for them and you're willing to adjust where you're going with it based on really what they want to hear and what they want to see. So I think that is very powerful. It is such an intimate connection with them. Absolutely wonderful.
I will say that I try to listen to them on certain things where I know where my story is going. So I can't give them everything, but I will listen to them. I know a lot of them have said, I want more weepers. And I'm like, okay. So I can tell them that in book 6, I have put in an extra epilogue based solely on the weepers because the fans have said, what's going on with the Weeper army? I'm not seeing enough weepers. And they had a point. They totally had a point. Completely. I was like, you're right. I'm not utilizing the weepers enough. I was nervous about where to go. And they kind of gave me that push to say, no, 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 we like the weepers. And I'm like, I'm getting a lot of flack for them being violent, gruesome. And they were like, no, no, give us more weepers. And I was like, okay. Sat down and I wrote a chapter specifically about the weepers. And I wound up putting it in because the fans were pushing. The readers were like, hey, look, you're just not giving me enough.
Listening to your readers and still being authentic, it's a really hard line to walk.
It's very difficult.
I'm loving the fact that you're always conscious of, is it true to me? Is it authentic to me? And does it continue to carry the story forward? So I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
We're talking 10 books. You got 6 already ready. When is the publishing day? When can our listeners be like, okay, book 3 is out? When are the other ones going to be released?
Kingdom Come comes out May 30th. And once again, I kind of blow the whole world up with Kingdom Come. I worry. Everybody's like, oh, book 3 ended so nicely. I'm like, yeah, sorry about this, guys. I'm going to blow you all up in Kingdom Come, which is why I named it Kingdom Come. Joke, but the next 3 books, it's Kingdom Come, A Fae is Done, and Forgive Us. Those will take us through the veil. And then after that, the next 3 take us into modern time. And I do get away from the characters that we know and love. So after Forgive Us, why I kind of called it Forgive Us, we are out of the veil and we are into modern time with a whole new set of Fae characters, human and Fae. But then the old characters come back and it's kind of a mix. So I switch it up from high magic to urban paranormal fantasy, but it's still the same Fae universe. I'm just blending it a little bit differently. When we get into modern times, that's where my patient who inspired all this, his literary hero persona comes in, Agent Graham. And that's where we see him make his literary debut. So I'm kind of excited for that. And that'll probably be in about a year and a half-ish, give or take. And then we start a new journey. But the bishops, everybody comes back in that series. It's still a continuation. It's just a little different. I'm excited for everything that the Fae will be going through and coming out and what's to come. I have oracle cards that we're working on that go along with the book and will carry throughout the series. So I'm trying to do some different things and I'm hoping a graphic novel will be on the way. And we're trying to play it all out and see what we can do. But I'm still listening to the fans and hearing what they have to say. I just had somebody write, they were like, hurry up with the next book because you left me hanging on 3. I'm like, 4 is coming. Don't worry. 4 is coming. We'll see what the veil has in store. But the process is always interesting and writing a novella was very different.
They're completely night and day, which people really don't think about it because it's such a smaller format to still have a whole story. You got to get to the point a lot faster than you have in a novel. There's a lot less things you cover. So the time frame is always feels like we're moving quicker than you can imagine just to get to that part. Like, here's a glimpse in time because I really don't have that many pages. So let's do this.
Yeah, the novella for me was harder because I was trying to figure out how to give a satisfying ending in such a short amount of time. And you have to narrow this down. It doesn't matter if you have 10 characters. It's like, no, 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 you got to concentrate this to, or whatever. You got a subplot going on. I've joked and said, I'm not a classically trained author. You're learning to be one real quick. You've still got to be a good storyteller because you've got to take this all down and distill it to be like, here it is. I'm writing dragon fight scenes. Human fight scenes are easy. I can go out and choreograph a human fight scene, videotape it, and be like, okay, play it on my phone and say, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. When I'm doing dragons, I'm trying to imagine two dragons fighting in a game of tag in a tournament. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I was sitting here playing this out in my head. And I was even going as far as like, I'm going to go buy some dragon action figures and like play with them and see if I could figure it out. But I had plasma balls going and taking little tinfoil balls and throwing them at and I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm like, how would this work? You're playing it out in your head. And I'm going, okay, all right, that would work. And then I've got little Faye involved because it's tag team. And I'm utilizing like my martial art, my old tournament experience. I'm trying to make this work. And I was like, this is so much more difficult. I would like at one point, I'm like, why did I pick this to write? Because the tournament fight scene, I was stuck on them for a good solid month because I'd write them and I'd be like, oh my God, I have 3 more to write. I'm like, no, I'm never doing this again. Like, you don't understand. This takes forever.
So I could talk to you forever, and you do have me cracking up here that I'm trying to contain myself. So it's like, focus. I'm going to bring it all back. Congratulations on this amazing journey. Congratulations on the books, the series. I'm loving the covers, and congratulations on now being the model for your covers. So hooray to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So exciting.
I was really happy.
They look amazing. It's so exciting to see how much you're working on your series and this universe that you have created. Tell us, sweetie, where can our listeners find you? Where can they find the series, the books? Tell us all about it.
The books you can find on Barnes & Nobles, bookshop.org. For everybody who's not an Amazon fan, I totally get it. Bookshop.org, Amazon.com, obviously. My publishers sell it as well, or horsemanpublications.com. And then you can find me on birthofthefae.com or Instagram at birthofthefae_novel. And then I actually have a YouTube channel. So they can go and listen to podcasts there, see interviews, and check out any new content. You can just look up Danielle M. Orsino, author, and you'll find my YouTube channel and check out past interviews and even drawings of my dragons or any new content. And probably I'll be posting up fight scenes, things like that, all that good stuff. And then check out Four Horsemen Publications for news and things like that, plus my website.
Every single person who's in love with the Fae must be passionate because I love it. I'm so excited for you. So before you leave us, we're jumping into lightning round. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Don't think too much on this. Let's see how you do. Thin crust or stuffed pizza?
Thin crust.
Nice. Hiking or skiing?
Hiking.
Okay. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh, I'm going to say Star Wars.
It's a tough one. Let's see how you do with this one. Caffeinated or decaf?
Oh, caffeinated.
I figure. So here's a little different. Let's see your take on this. If you could be any Disney princess, who will you be?
Oh, I'm an Ariel girl.
Okay. The hair goes really well. I like. Sweetie, do you have any closing remarks for us?
I'd like to say thank you for having me first and foremost. I appreciate it. I've been watching you. I'm always a fan. So I love seeing another female author do her thing. I have to support. And just thank you to all my fanatics out there who have supported the Fae. I appreciate it more than I could possibly say. Being able to be an author in this day and age, anybody who wants to enter the veil, I'm always grateful to them. Because I think to be an author and have somebody want to enter your world is an honor and a privilege. And I think there's too many authors that see it the opposite. And I don't think that as authors, we understand, especially right now, how we bring somebody just a little break in their day and how special that is. It doesn't matter what your Amazon ranking is or how many books you sold. It's just that maybe you're giving somebody a release or a retreat from their day. And I think that's really, really special. And sometimes we're so busy comparing ourselves to whatever the buzz author is in that moment that we kind of forget that we kind of have our own superpower by just allowing somebody to get lost wherever they go, whether it's a murder mystery, a magic book, a romance. And I think that's kind of special. I think it's something that all the authors need to hear, regardless of if you're a bestseller or not, or you're just learning, or you think you want to write a book. Just pick up a pen and be a superhero.
That is a powerful message and such a great advice to everyone. We all have our tribes, and it is our mission to make sure our tribe continues to be fed and doing amazing. So, sweetie, thank you so much for joining us. To our listener, make sure you go back and catch up Danielle's first episode. We go all the way into book one, where the series started with the meaning behind it and all the amazing things she has in store. Make sure you listen to this episode. Follow this amazing lady, her incredible journey, and you're going to be laughing as much as I do because she will keep you entertained every day. Sweetie, a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. My friends, go ahead, give us a like, give us a review, share this episode with everyone, and make sure to join us next week for another amazing author. Bye, everyone.